Joy. What is joy? Joy is the essence of who we are. Joy is a feeling of ecstasy. Joy is a feeling of abandonment, a feeling of love, a feeling of wellness, a feeling of happiness. Think with me for a moment. Have you thought that we may have been putting the cart before the horse all these years, whereas we've been so used to, as a human race, as individuals, as people, as a society, to work so hard through life, to struggle through life, we feel frustrated, we find parents are angry with their children, life is just not happening the way we want it to happen. But have we taken the time to actually stop and think, what could we be doing wrong? Why is there so much negativity and negative vibrations surrounding us as a society and as individuals? But what if I was to tell you today that our natural state, your natural state, and my natural state is actually joy. Joy is the essence of being. The purpose of life is actually to be joyful. Each and every one of us is out here, and what we desire is to reach for a good feeling. Behind every desire is actually a desire to feel good. So joy, being part of those desires of feeling good, is the essence of living. I want to give you an example of my personal life. At one point in my life, I lived in what seemed to be like hell. And I know many of you can relate to that. But something happened and I began thinking, I began asking questions, because it's in seeking that we find answers. It's the essence of curiosity. We want to discover things, we want to know things, and that's how we have been built. And so I began asking questions. I began wondering, okay, so why am I in this state? Why am I feeling this way? Yet I knew in my inner being that was not my essence. I began to recall as a little girl how I was so joyful and so happy, the life of the party. And even when you look at little children who are playing, they're all so happy and laughing and running about with such abandonment. And I was like, I want that feeling. I want that sweet spot. I want to get that juice back into my life. But what did I need to do? Something needed to change. And I realized my thought processes needed to change, because the longer I thought about my situation, about how I'm not living life the way I desired, the way I dreamt I would live my life, I longed for that joy. I longed for that peace. And I learned and realized that joy is actually our natural state. Joy is our natural state of being. And without joy, we're depressed. Without joy, we're sad. Yet our inner being tells us and is joy, is peace, is happiness. So how do we reach to that level? How do we get that joyful state back? One thing we need to do is reach out for that joyful feeling, reach out for that happy spot, reach out, even if it's a memory from the past, even if it's something in the future that you want to look to do, and it brings you joy, it brings you love, it brings you happiness. Think on those thoughts. Think, because now when you start having good thoughts, happy feelings, the universe will work together to bring into your experience things that will cause you to even be more joyful, things that will validate your feelings, things that will validate your joyful essence. How did I come to this conclusion? I came to a place and a point in my life where everything just shut down. It was total darkness. Darkness pervaded my being. Darkness pervaded my world. I had no hope. There was no light. And I was like, I can't stay here. And I stayed in that dark place. I stayed in that state that they call depression for quite some time. And I realized it's because of my thoughts. I couldn't blame people. And in my own little way, I was blaming my circumstances. I was blaming this person and that person. But I actually came to realize that I had myself to blame. And how did I have myself to blame? My thoughts. And for as long as I kept thinking the negative thoughts, for as long as I kept blaming other people, I remained in that state. And what did I do? I actually began to long for that, the time when I'd young and I'd be so joyful. There's a time I was the life of the party. There was a time, and I recall during that period when I was the life of the party and I was a happy, joyful person, things were working out for me. There's nothing that I desired that I did not get. And so I had to think and ask myself, how do I get that joy back? How do I get that feeling back? How do I get that feel-good feeling? And I began to meditate. I began to think and long for situations and circumstances that would bring me joy. And I began doing things that would bring me joy. And I encourage you too. I mean, your place of joy, your sweet spot could be different from my sweet spot. So you find your sweet spot. And this is my promise to you. Once you do that, the universe will work together to bring you situations, circumstances, experiences that will validate your joy. Until next time, my name is Carol, and this is my world.